Today we're going to look at some more formulas for polygons. We're going to define and prove formulas involving triangles and special quadrilaterals. So we already looked at a square and a rectangle, but we're actually going to look at some different quadrilaterals and get the formulas for them as well. And then we're going to be looking at right triangles and then just regular triangles. All right, so we're going to apply those formulas and then calculate the areas using those formulas. Okay, so we'll begin with the area of a right triangle. It's 1/2 the product of the lengths of the legs. So 1/2 the product of the lengths of the legs. Or 1/2 base times height is what you've also heard. And then our next theorem says that the area of a parallelogram is just area equals base times height. So the area of a parallelogram is the same as the area of a rectangle. It's just base times height. So if we wanted to find the area of this parallelogram, we would do our base, so 25, times our height, 10. So we get 250 square inches. So remember to indicate your units. Those double tick marks, those mean inches. If it was just one tick mark, it would be feet. Our next formula says that the area of a triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. So when we did the area of a right triangle, it was the same formula. So just so you know, you can find the area of any triangle doing 1/2 base times height. All right, so if we wanted to find the area of this triangle, we would do 1/2 base times height. So our base is 12, and our height, or our altitude, is 9. So 1/2 12 times 9, which is 6 times 9, and we get 54 square feet. So like I said, one tick mark means feet. Our next theorem says the area of a trapezoid. So remember, a trapezoid has one pair of parallel lines, and the formula for the area of a trapezoid is going to be 1/2 times the height, and then you add your bases together before you multiply by the height and take 1/2 of it. An example of this. So here's a trapezoid. So our formula is 1/2 the height times the sum of the bases. So our height is 7. So that's why the 7's here. And then our bases are 10 and 18. So we'll add 18 and 10 together. So that gives us 28. And then multiply by 7 and then divide by 2. And then we get 98 square. And it looks like we have millimeters here. So remember, units are important. If they don't list the units for you, you can just put squared units or units squared. All right, so let's say we wanted to find the area of a rhombus. So we know that the rhombus, the sides will be the same, so that's kind of neat. A rhombus actually also has the formula of base times height because it's also a parallelogram. It has two sides of parallel lines. So we can find the area of a rhombus using the formula for a parallelogram. So we'll do base times height, so 4 times 3, and we get 12. So this is an example where they did not give us the units, so we put square units. So another formula for a rhombus, if you don't have the base and the height of the rhombus, but they give you the length of the diagonals, you can still find the area. So area of a rhombus is 1/2 the product of the diagonals. So diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. Let's do an example of that. So here we have a rhombus, and they give us that this length is 4, this length is 4, this length is 6, and this length is 6. So they don't give us the height or the base, but they give us both of the diagonals. So we'll use the formula 1/2 the product of the diagonals. So this diagonal is 6 plus 6, so that's 12. And then this diagonal is 4 plus 4, so 8. So 1/2 12 times 8 is 48. And then we have square units for our units. All right, so let's apply what we know to the real world. Let's say that we have two sides of a tract of land that are parallel, okay? So at least we have a trapezoid. And those two sides measure 20 kilometers and 30 kilometers. We want to know how wide is the property between these parallel lines if the area is 850 kilometers squared. So we know that we have a trapezoid, okay, and we want to know how wide is the property. So what's the height? We want to know what the height is, okay? So we know that the area of a trapezoid can be found using 1/2 the height and then the sum of the bases. So they've given us everything except for the height. We know that the area is 850, and we know that base 1 is 20 and base 2 is 30, which means that we can now solve for the height. All right, so after simplifying, we get 850 equals 25h, because 20 plus 30 was 50, and then half of that was 25. Now to solve for h, we divide both sides by 25, and that means h is equal to 34. And we are talking about kilometers for our units, so the answer is 34 kilometers. That's how wide this property is. Go ahead and try some problems on your own.